Hello viewers, today I will discuss on the topic carbohydrate metabolism. Now carbohydrate metabolism includes both catabolism of carbohydrate and anabolism of carbohydrate. That is catabolism, that is breakdown of large complex carbohydrate molecules into simpler monosaccharides, that is glucose. Then glucose is oxidized to either carbon dioxide or to 2 or 3 carbon molecules, what we call fermentation. During the oxidation of glucose, energy is released. That energy is trapped high energy molecules called ATP or adenosine triphosphate. During anabolism, from simple monosaccharides, polysaccharides are produced, like glycogen is synthesized from glucose molecules, or from non-carbohydrate molecules, carbohydrate molecules are produced. Glycolysis, that is the conversion of glucose into pyruvate by two pathways, Emden-Meyerhof-Parnas pathway and Ettner-Dodorf pathway. Also, I will discuss how other carbohydrates enter into the glycolytic pathway and how blood glucose level is maintained in higher eukaryotes. Now, glycolysis, that is conversion of glucose into pyruvate, it occurs in the cytosol of an eukaryotic cell. Then the pyruvate molecules migrate into the mitochondrial matrix. There they are converted to acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA is a 2-carbon molecule. The acetyl-CoA is degraded via a cycle called TCA cycle or tricarboxylic cycle, and the carbons are released as carbon dioxide. And during this oxidation, the electrons released are captured by electron acceptors like NAD+, FAD+, or sometimes NADP+, and they are converted to NADH, FADH2 and NADPH. These electron rich molecules then donate the electron in the electron transport chain, which is present in the inner mitochondrial membrane of an eukaryotic cell. But in case of prokaryotic cell, since they do not have any organelle, all the conversions, that is glucose to pyruvate, pyruvate to acetyl-CoA and TCA cycle, all these three pathways occur in the cytosol and electron transport chain on the cell membrane. Now, I will tell you about the Emden-Meyerhof-Parnas pathway. This pathway was discovered by G. Emden, Otto Meyerhof and Jakob Parnas in 1930s. That is why this pathway is called EMP pathway. Now, all different carbohydrate molecules must be converted to 6-carbon glucose first. Then that glucose will be converted to 2,3 carbon molecules pyruvate. Now, EMP pathway has 10 enzyme catalyzed steps. The first 5 steps are called the preparatory phase of glycolysis, and the last 5 steps are called the payoff phase of glycolysis. I will go into the detail of the EMP pathway. The first step is irreversible phosphorylation of glucose into glucose 6-phosphate by the enzyme hexokinase. And the phosphoryl group comes from the magnesium ATP. Magnesium shields the negative charges of ATP. Now, why this enzyme is called hexokinase? Because it can phosphorylate any hexose or hexose derivatives. In higher eukaryotes in our system, in our liver, we have another isozyme of hexokinase. Isozymes are proteins. They are different proteins encoded in different genes, but they have similar function. The isozyme of hexokinase which is present in our liver is called hexokinase 4 or glucokinase. From the name it is clear, this enzyme can phosphorylate only glucose molecule. And hexokinase 1, or which is present in all the cells, can phosphorylate any hexose, but glucokinase can phosphorylate only glucose, and it is mainly responsible for storing glucose into glycogen. Now the next step is reversible isomerization of glucose 6-phosphate into fructose 6-phosphate, and the enzyme involved is called phosphohexose isomerase or phosphoglucose isomerase. Third step of glycolysis, this is the slowest step of glycolysis, hence rate limiting step, and the enzyme involved is called phosphofructokinase 1. This is called 1 to distinguish it from a second phosphofructokinase which is called phosphofructokinase 2. PFK1 irreversibly phosphorylates carbon number 1 of fructose 6-phosphate and produces fructose 1,6-bis-phosphate. Next step, fructose 1,6-bis-phosphate is cleaved into two 3-carbon molecules, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Now in the next step, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate only can be degraded. So the dihydroxyacetone phosphate produced must be converted to glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Another enzyme, triose phosphate isomerase, converts dihydroxyacetone phosphate into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So after fifth step of glycolysis, now we have two molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Up to this, this phase is called preparatory phase of glycolysis, because we have seen two molecules of ATP, one in the first step and one in the third step, has been utilized to increase the free energy of the intermediates. And also this is called the preparatory phase because later we will see that many other monosaccharides or carbohydrates are converted to glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate before their breakdown. In the next step, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is converted to or oxidized to 1,3-bis-phosphoglycerate by the enzyme. You can see glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase, and the electron released is captured by the NAD plus molecule which is converted to NADH. This is the first step of glycolysis where one molecule of NADH is formed. And the phosphoryl group here comes from the inorganic phosphate. Now in the next step, 1,3-bis-phosphoglycerate is converted to 3-phosphoglycerate. That is 1 high energy phosphoryl group is removed from 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate and this group combines with ADP to produce ATP. This is the first step where one molecule of ATP is formed. But actually, since we started our payoff phase with 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, we will have 2 molecules of ATPs after this step. Now, an enzyme, phosphoglycerate mutase, reversibly shifts the phosphoryl group between carbon number 2 and 3 and converts 3-phosphoglycerate to 2-phosphoglycerate. In the next step, 2-phosphoglycerate reversibly dehydrated to form phosphoenol pyruvate by the enzyme enolase. In the last step of glycolysis, the last phosphoryl group attached to phosphoenol pyruvate is transferred to ADP to form ATP. So, this is the last step of glycolysis where a second molecule of ATP is generated and actually from 2 molecules of phosphoenol pyruvate we get 2 molecules of ATPs. These 5 steps are called the payoff phase of glycolysis because the energy stored in the glycolytic intermediates is released during these steps. Net gain after glycolysis is 2 molecules of ATP and 2 molecules of NADH. Now, glycolysis or flux of glucose via the glycolytic pathway is tightly regulated. It depends on the availability of NAD+ and also regulated by the 3 regulatory enzymes hexokinase, phosphofructokinase 1 and pyruvate kinase. Glucose 6-phosphate, the product of hexokinase, is an allosteric inhibitor of hexokinase. That is, when concentration of glucose 6-phosphate increases above the normal level, it allosterically binds to hexokinase and inhibits the glycolysis. Now I will tell you how phosphofructokinase 1 is regulated in a cell. It is inactivated by high concentrations of fatty acids, citrate and ATP, whereas activated by the high concentrations of AMP and ADP. Another important and potent activator of phosphofructokinase 1 is fructose 2,6-bisphosphate. In response to low blood glucose level, when glucagon is secreted, it activates a protein kinase called cyclic AMP dependent protein kinase. This protein kinase phosphorylates this bifunctional protein PFK2. And phosphorylated PFK2 has phosphatase activity and it removes the phosphoryl group from fructose 2,6-bisphosphate and converts it to fructose 6-phosphate. So, in the absence of fructose 2,6-bisphosphate, glycolysis is inhibited and gluconeogenesis starts in a cell. Now, what happens when blood glucose level is excess, that is when insulin is secreted? It activates another protein kinase called phosphoprotein phosphatase. This enzyme now dephosphorylates the bifunctional enzyme PFK2 and now the enzyme has its kinase activity and it phosphorylates fructose 6-phosphate to fructose 2,6-bisphosphate, and in the presence of fructose 2,6-bisphosphate, glycolysis is on in a cell. So, when blood glucose level is low, glycolysis is inhibited, and when blood glucose level is high, glycolysis again starts. Now, I will tell you about the regulation of another regulatory enzyme, pyruvate kinase. Many isozymes of pyruvate kinase found in our system. But the pyruvate kinase which is present in our liver is called pyruvate kinase L. In response to low blood glucose level, glucagon is secreted. It will activate the cyclic AMP dependent protein kinase. This protein kinase will phosphorylate the pyruvate kinase, and phosphorylated pyruvate kinase is inactive. That means it stops glycolysis. Also, high concentration of ATP, acetyl-CoA, long chain fatty acids inhibit the pyruvate kinase activity, and high concentration of fructose 1,6-bisphosphate activates the pyruvate kinase activity. Feeder pathways, that is how carbohydrate molecules other than glucose enter into the glycolytic pathway. Let's talk about the disaccharides first. The disaccharides are broken down into their respective monosaccharides by the enzymes present in our small intestine, like maltase degrades maltose into 2 glucose units, lactase degrades lactose into galactose and glucose, sucrase degrades sucrose into fructose, deglucose, etc. Galactose breakdown is called Leloir pathway after its discoverer Louis Leloir. Galactose is first converted to galactose 1-phosphate by the enzyme galactokinase. Now, galactose 1-phosphate reacts with one molecule of a sugar nucleotide called UDP glucose, that is uridine diphosphate glucose, and displaces glucose 1-phosphate from that molecule, and itself is converted to UDP galactose. Now another enzyme UDP galactose 4 epimerase UDP galactose into UDP glucose, and the glucose 1-phosphate produced, it is converted to glucose 6-phosphate, and then it enters into the glycolytic pathway. Next, we'll discuss about the fructose metabolism. In all cells of our system, fructose is converted to fructose 6-phosphate by the enzyme hexokinase. But in liver, we have a special enzyme called fructokinase. Fructokinase phosphorylates fructose into fructose 1-phosphate. Then fructose 1-phosphate aldolase cleaves fructose 1-phosphate into two molecules, one glyceraldehyde and one dihydroxyacetone phosphate. The glyceraldehyde is converted to glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate by triose kinase, and the dihydroxyacetone phosphate is converted to glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate by glycolytic enzyme. So both the products of fructose 1-phosphate hydrolysis enters into the glycolytic pathway as glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Now, how dietary glycogen and starch is metabolized in our system. Dietary glycogen or starch metabolism starts in our mouth by the salivary alpha amylase. This enzyme randomly hydrolyzes the glycosidic bonds. Now, when the food reaches to stomach, high H+ ion concentration inactivates this enzyme, and then when the food again reaches to small intestine, another alpha amylase present in the small intestine starts degrading the glycogen or starch, and they degrade it into maltose, maltotriose, dextrins. These molecules are then degraded into smaller units by the enzymes present in the small intestine. Now, in the absence of glucose in blood, the stored glycogen in muscle and liver cells are also degraded inside the same cell. They can be mobilized into glucose units. The enzyme which is responsible for breaking down stored glycogen is called glycogen phosphorylase. This enzyme cleaves glucose units one by one from the non-reducing end, and the reaction mechanism is phosphorolysis, that is attack of the alpha-1,4 linkage by inorganic phosphate. Glycogen phosphorylase releases glucose molecules as glucose 1-phosphate, but it halts when it is 4 residues away from a branch point. Now a second enzyme called a debranching enzyme comes, and it removes 3 residues from the branch point and adds that residue on a new chain, and the single residue present at the branch point is hydrolyzed. Now glycogen phosphorylase again starts phosphorylases from the newly elongated chain. The glucose 1-phosphate produced is converted to glucose 6-phosphate in muscles, and this glucose 6-phosphate can enter into the glycolysis, and the glucose 1-phosphate produced in the liver is converted to glucose and is released in the blood. Now, how glycogen phosphorylase is regulated in our system. In 1930s, Carl Corey and Grady Corey, they discovered that glycogen phosphorylase exists in two forms, glycogen phosphorylase A or the more active form and glycogen phosphorylase B or the less active form. When blood glucose level is low, glucagon is secreted. Protein kinase called glycogen phosphorylase B kinase is activated, and this kinase phosphorylates phosphorylase B, the less active form, and in muscle and liver cells, this is the form which is found. So, phosphorylase B kinase phosphorylates phosphorylase B and converts it to phosphorylase A or the more active form. Now, this active enzyme starts its action, that is breaking of stored glycogen into glucose. Again, when blood glucose level is high in response to insulin, phosphatase, that is glycogen phosphorylase A phosphatase, gets activated and it again brings back the less active form or glycogen phosphorylase B. Thus, glycogen phosphorylase is maintained in our system. Now, how blood glucose level is maintained in higher eukaryotes? So, when blood glucose level is high, hexokinase 4 or glucokinase, which is normally present in the nucleus bound to a regulatory protein, is released to the cytosol and it converts the excess glucose into glycogen. And when blood glucose level is low, in response to glucagon, the stored glycogen is broken down into glucose and that glucose is released into the blood to maintain the blood glucose level. ED pathway or Ettner-Dodorf pathway. This is called ED pathway because it was discovered by Michael Ettner and Nathan Dodorf in 1952. This is another way to convert glucose into pyruvate, and this pathway is present in many gram-negative microorganisms like Pseudomonas aeruginosa, Pseudomonas fluorescens, Azotobacter, etc. What happens here? The glucose is first converted to glucose 6-phosphate by the enzyme hexokinase. Then glucose 6-phosphate is oxidized to 6-phosphoglucono delta lactone, and the electron released is captured by the electron acceptor NADP+. Now 6-phosphoglucono delta lactone is again further oxidized to form 6-phosphogluconate by the enzyme lactonase. This gluconate dehydrated to 2-keto-3-deoxyphosphogluconate by an enzyme called phosphogluconate dehydratase. Now this 2-keto-3-deoxyphosphogluconate molecule is broken down into pyruvate, one molecule of pyruvate and one molecule glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is broken down via the glycolytic enzymes. So this pathway produces less energy. After one round of ED pathway, only one molecule of ATP, one NADPH and one NADH molecule is produced. So if we compare EMP and ED pathway, then EMP after conversion of glucose to 2 molecules of pyruvate produces 2 molecules of ATP and 2 NADH, but ED pathway produces only 1 molecule of ATP, 1 NADPH and 1 NADH. Today we have learned how glucose is converted to pyruvate by EMP pathway and by ED pathway. EMP pathway is present in almost all living cells, but ED pathway is present in a few gram-negative microorganisms. And if we look into the from the energy perspective, then EMP pathway yields 2 molecules of ATP after one conversion of 1 glucose molecule into 2 pyruvate molecules, whereas ED pathway produces only 1 ATP molecule. So energetically EMP pathway is more favorable over ED pathway. Also we have learned how the other carbohydrate molecules other than glucose enter into the glycolytic pathway and degrade it, and how blood glucose level is maintained in higher eukaryotes.